Welcome and good morning. For those who don't know me, my name is Leo Lopoz. I work at De La Salle High School here in Concord, California, NorCal. It's great to see everyone. I am sure multiple people will pop in. There's some familiar faces, some new faces too as well. We'll get going. This is a Zoom in regards to best practices on Coach's Handbook. It seems like the enigma of the Coach's Handbook that a lot of us don't have, want to follow. I have two panelists, Adam Callan and Kevin Butler, who I'll let them introduce themselves in a minute. But before we get going, I just kind of wanted to start off with prayer to kind of put us at peace. So let us remember that we're in the holy presence of God. Right. Oh God, you gave us bodies as well as minds and hearts with which to praise and worship you. Our sports and exercises are a fitting use of the gifts and talents you have given us. Bless our workouts, the games we play, and those with whom we exercise or compete. Give us strength, endurance, courage, and agility as we compete or train. Keep us safe and healthy as we celebrate our physical and mental skills in sport. Take a moment of silence to remember those prayers and thoughts that we hold in our hearts and our head for our families and loved ones. Amen. And then Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. All right. So welcome. I'd like to get going here and let Kevin and Adam, our two panelists who have graciously volunteered to kind of lead our discussion. So I'll just go from the East Coast. Kevin Butler, if you'd like to introduce yourself real quick before we get going.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Kevin Butler. I'm the Director of Athletics at St. Joseph High School here in Trumbull, Connecticut. Been at this school for the past 9 years. Previously was at an independent day school in New Canaan, Connecticut for 8.5. So just went up to around 17 years being an AD here in the state of Connecticut.
And on the opposite coast, Adam Callan from Marin Catholic.
Thanks, Leo. Yeah, Adam from Marin Catholic. We're right north of San Francisco. I've been the athletic director here this is my 12th year. I'm a graduate of the school too, so I haven't really left the area, and it's great to be here. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Couple reminders. If you take a look at the chat, Catholic National Athletic Association, we obviously, like everything with COVID, had to take sort of a pause. And then we all got Zoom fatigue. So it was deliberate to and we all returned to school in August, obviously, right? A little bit more normal. So we've kind of stayed away, not because we weren't planning, but if you take a look, we have some pre-recorded Zooms. We have upcoming Zoom schedules that are coming up. Click on those links. Share those with all the other Catholic schools. We have some bigger plans in 2022. We have a virtual retreat in 2021 coming up. If you take a look there, go ahead and register for different things. We are planning live retreats. Atlanta was supposed to happen in 2021, trying to get it for 2022 again. But if you take a look, we'll be moving forward. Well, obviously, on December 15th, there's another Zoom with women and female athletics. There's all kinds of different stuff we're going. If you always want to participate and help out, we're here. The common denominator is Catholic schools working together to help out Catholic athletic administrators. So I appreciate all of your support. Let's get right to it on the topics. For us, one of the topics that people requested to talk about is how to create a coach's handbook, best practices on how and when you use your coach's handbook. We have obviously some veteran athletic directors and athletic administrators and some new. So there's different philosophies on there. Kevin and Adam, I've seen both there. So it came to my mind that I figured I'd ask them to present. So Adam's going to share his, so you can take a look at it. He's going to touch base for a couple minutes. Then Kevin will do so. And then we'll break off into breakout rooms where you can kind of dialogue in a small group setting. So I'll let Adam go ahead. We'll go with the best coast coach's handbook out here in the West, and we'll see where he goes with that.
West Coast, best coast. All right, cool. So I'm going to just share this real quick with you. Here we go. So can everyone see this here? This is so there's kind of two things I'll show you. We have a beginning of the season meeting with coaches. We call this the coach handbook nuts and bolts. This is kind of the basics that we hand them, one piece of paper so they can see this, read this, and kind of get the idea of what's going on before we dive into this larger handbook here. So they have something physical to handle. The larger handbook that we have it's all digital. We don't print this out. One of the things I really tried to do this year or last year was I tried to make this a little bit more user friendly. So we have our mission and stuff like that, but the table of contents here allows anyone that's viewing this to just go directly to whatever they're looking at. So if I want to look at, what we do for our uniforms, I can just click on uniforms and it goes directly down to that area. I did this in Google Doc. It's called the document outline. You have to kind of go through all of this stuff. It's a little bit of a painstaking way of doing this, but I think it was pretty effective in how he did it. You can go back to the table of contents and see what you're looking at. We send this to obviously all the coaches. It's available on our interior school-wide system, so any coach can see that on our little coaches portal that they have. A lot of these things, talking to Leo a little bit ago about this, it's like, why do you have some of these things in here? Well, it's because something has happened and we've had issues with it. So one of the things is, why do you have you can't buy anything without paying any sales tax? Well, we've had issues with that in the past, so throw that into the handbook. And if you do that, if you add so many things in there, it gets to be a little bit unwieldy. So that's why I tried to make it a little bit more outlined, so people can go directly to, okay, well, what do we do at the end of the season? What do we do at the beginning of the season? So the way I structured this was there's general information at the top. Then we go pre-season. So I try to do it in a chronological order. Here's the things you need to get done before the season starts. Here's some in-season information. So getting a team parent, practices, etc., and then postseason information. So I try to make it in a way that's a little bit more user-friendly. So you can just go, okay, well, what is the criteria for our awards? You can go right down to that. And when you're picking your St. Sebastian's award winner, that's what you get. Anything else you think I need to cover, Leo? I think Kevin's going to cover some other
Yeah,
stuff.
that's a good intro. And then I think when you get in your small group, people get more specific questions.
All right.
That's great. Thank you.
All right. And I can share this with anyone if you want to check it out. And if you want to talk to me about how I did the outlining, I can help with that as well.
Go ahead, Kevin. Thanks, Adam.
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Adam. And just sort of to mirror Adam's intro there, we kick off all of our head coaches meetings. Obviously, I'm sure most of you still do them seasonally. We really just focus on our head varsities, and they filter stuff down to our assistant coaching staffs and sub varsities. But again, we try to simplify the process. And as Adam showed there, we used to have that traditional handbook, 20, 32 pages with all those detailed items. And a lot of times you're onboarding a coach, whether it's a new coach or even going back over things with a veteran coach. Sometimes that sort of just gets in the back of their car or sits on their shelf at home. So we wanted to create something that was really sort of transparent for student, athlete, and coach and our parent body, because we really focus communication. So what we did, and it's on the front of our webpage. I'll send the links out to everyone on this call. I apologize, I didn't pull it up today. But what we just call it is our athletic handbook versus a coach's handbook. And we really focus on not so much the nuts and bolts like Adam had listed there for coaches. We'll do that individually with our onboarding process when we hire a coach, and obviously continually on reviews. But we did an athletic handbook, which really focuses on behavior, expectations, communication style. What are our academic eligibility requirements? We're different. We're a parochial high school in a public school league, predominantly public school leagues in our state. There's only a few parochial high schools in our state. So obviously, as Leo opened with, we deal with different issues than sometimes public school. but it's a really great document that the parents can see what they expect from a coach in terms of accountability, assistance, when practices start, when they end, to what our coaches should expect from parents in terms of communication style, encouraging that style of a communication of student athlete to parent, not resolved there, parent, student athlete, and coach, not resolved at that level. Then our doors are obviously always open, but then that level. So we're really encouraging a communication chain for our coaches, especially our new coaches when we're getting them on board. So parents know who to go to and in what situations. A couple other things that we list in our athletic handbook, everything that we would mirror with our dean of students. I'm sure most of you have, dean offices in your school too. So we put all those details in there, respective equipment, property, the school owns that property, how we collect, what the expectations are with that equipment, because obviously that's a major issue working with parents and families. Everything down to transportation waivers, which I think is really important. That a parent has had a death in the family to a special family event. Every school deals with transportation waivers differently in different districts and different schools across the country. And in our state, every school is different. So we even list that in there. The other thing we include is also attendance policies, but also spectator policies, because we feel it's important our coaches lead by example. So it sort of sets the tone with what we put in our athletic handbook, that all three of those pillars in the athletic triangle, athletes, coaches, parents, and fans, are all on the same page, sort of with spectator expectations. And then a little bit more the nitty gritty we get down to is sort of our league and our state policies for expectations, whether that's for regular eligibility, sportsmanship in our state, and what we expect in our league. That's sort of how we do it. One of the things we added in the back of it too, we list all of our sports and the levels, which sounds simple because everyone just goes to websites. But I think it's good for us being private schools. People are coming in from all different towns. Again, it's just another way that, hey, a new family started here. They're talking to someone, hey, did you know they just started girls golf at your school? So we actually list that all in the back and the different levels, because I think that's important for parents, student athletes, and coaches to see that we're all in it together. It's just not one coach's handbook for one season. The last thing we just added that we obviously with COVID, we just added COVID monitoring protocols, and it's something that we refresh this document every year. But as I was getting ready for this meeting, I was like, oh geez, that's changing every day, as we were just talking on the beginning of the meeting about masks and how that's going to play out in the winter. But stuff like that is great for parents, students, and coaches to always be on the same page. So it's not a coach mirroring our messaging on mask mandates. Here's your state CIAC for Connecticut or CIF for California, whatever it may be. Here's what our guidelines are for the state. So we also list that. And the last one we put in there is actually how we do letters and awards at the end of the year too, which is nice for everyone to see, but that's something obviously you always go over with your coaches for end of the year too. And just the last thing I had, the other document we keep on the front end of our webpage is we just call it our parent-coach communication guideline. And it just references how we expect communication channels to work from student athlete to coach to parent to administration team, and obviously with our training staff. So those are really our two documents. We just sort of made it a little more of everyone and took out all the details. And I try to have those meetings more one-on-one with our coaches onboarding to go through how does the budgets work, especially if your coaches are outside the building, not familiar with school budgets or time of year budgets. We really do the onboarding more one-on-one, have a lot more one-on-one meetings with our coaches versus here's your handbook, review it. Because I feel a lot of times you're constantly going back over things. So if we can have more front-to-front time on budgets, league issues, communications, it just seems better for us. We just work that way with our communication with our coaches. And then I think we'll talk more in the breakouts, right, Leo? But I was just going to talk about how Final Forms, we launched Final Forms 2 years ago, and it's probably been one of the best things we've done from a coaching standpoint, athlete and parent standpoint, just in terms of communication forms, everything down to this year. We're really trying to launch the inventory section. If some of you use it, I'll talk a little bit more in the breakout on that. That's sort of how we operate.
Perfect. I appreciate Adam and Kevin. And I know there's multiple questions that people have in different scenarios. So what I'm going to do right now is just put you into a couple breakout rooms. Let me make sure Adam and Kevin, they're in two separate rooms. If you could go to your breakout room for about 10 minutes, you can talk about the little intricacies. And then the plan would be we are going to come back and share some common group questions or some thoughts and takeaways. So I'm going to open up those rooms and look forward to chatting with everybody in a more intimate setting about and talk about coaches handbooks and building them and how you use them. So I'm opening the breakout rooms now. Welcome back. I think the other room's finishing up. We'll be here in a second. Hopefully you got some decent takeaways, obviously for the sake of time and everyone's schedule, just trying to keep it within a half hour, 40-minute sort of time frame. As soon as these guys come back in, we'll just have some closing thoughts and conversation and discussion. It's they must be discussing something because they're not coming over. Who knows? I actually really do miss like teaching. You know what I mean? When I go back to like the why, I miss like I don't have any classes, but sometimes when I get in these scenarios, it's like really do miss the daily interaction. I don't really want to have 0 through 6 period anymore, but in theory, it's kind of refreshing. All right, welcome back. Appreciate it. Everyone sounds like there's some spirited discussion. Adam or Kevin or anyone else, obviously the floor is open. Are there any discussion points or follow up? I know that people are different sides of the spectrum in terms of where they're at and what they're looking for, and some takeaways, some closing thoughts, and we'll wrap up in about 3 to 5 minutes so everyone can get back to their day job and try to get better and help their student athletes. So any closing thoughts or questions or comments?
One thing that that I kind of mentioned too, I don't think I said this as much in the initial presentation, but having this digital, this thing digital, so it's that we all have phones, that it's easy to refer to, is really important. That's why we've really gone away from the paper. There are some old school coaches that obviously we can print it out for them, but you know, everyone is easily, they can easily attain this. The other thing is some people are just building their handbooks to start out with. And in the educational tradition of it's not stealing, it's borrowing. I will happily, if anyone wants to send me an email, you want to see our coach's handbook or our athletic handbook, which we send to parents and students. I'd be happy to send that to you so you can take it and use it for whatever high school needs that you have for your own area.
Yeah, who wants to work harder, buddy? Come on, man.
Exactly.
We're all Catholic schools and athletic administrators want to work together. That's the goal of the Catholic National Athletic Association. So any other further comments or questions?
I just echo Adam's thoughts. I can send it, or if you just email me, my email's up here on the chat room. If you'd like to see our athletic handbook, our communication guide, I'm sure they're similar to what you're using, but they worked for us. Or just in our breakout, we talked a lot about how we're utilizing communications through final forms as a school, coaches and parents. And we're learning and adding things to final forms as we go. And I can't speak more about the program for us from every angle. So depending on what everyone's using in their schools and districts, it's been great for us. And if anyone wants more specific details of how we're utilizing different aspects of it, please feel free to call me or email.
And then I guess from my perspective, one takeaway that I realized as I'm listening to her talk, I have so many different templates on end of year banquet, form letters. I'm going to actually create a whole segment of templates. So the new coach doesn't have, here's the email, preseason parent email, preseason tryout literature, all that stuff. I have them, but you guys just sparked me to realize I'm going to make sure all templates, form letters, banquet, agenda item, parent meetings, all that stuff. So the new coaches don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I always have to go over it with them anyways, but I just realized putting those templates are huge. And then actually one thing, Adam and Kevin, I thought of, I got to get all the passwords and I got to get an inventory of what all these coaches have on their different social media channels. And because we run into like, who the heck has the basketball, Twitter or IG account? And like, I don't know, it's, one basketball love. It's like, God dang it. I got to create a Google form in there that has basic templates or the do's and don'ts of social media. So I do appreciate everyone talking and kind of trying to get better. And that's all we're trying to do on a daily basis, trying to make our coaches be able to coach and students be able to play and parents be able to parent, at least in an appropriate way. So there's no other final thoughts. It's been a half hour, and that's kind of where we want to keep these, so everyone gets one takeaway. That's always, I think it's important from any sort of clinic or Zoom or meeting. So hopefully you were able to take one takeaway, meet someone new. We'll continue to push these out. I'm going to plan on doing something monthly where I just lead different panelists. I'll reach out to different people that are on here to try to get panelists to come in and talk about different topics that you're comfortable with. I know we have some social justice ones coming out, some women's athletic leadership events and different retreats. So just keep trying to get to what you can get to and supporting the organization. One day we will meet in person. Eventually we'll be in person so we can get together. So that would be, hopefully you enjoyed this segment, and this will be posted and cut and edited for others to share too as well. All right. Any other questions? Otherwise, take care.
I think Harold has something.
Oh, Harold.
No, I was just saying thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yep, perfect. Thank you to Adam and thank you to Kevin for committing and taking the time. Appreciate
Thank
and
you.
sharing your ideas. It'll help all of us. We will borrow your forms, and some of us will take verbatim except for change the logo, but it's fine. You can get your stuff done and we can move forward. So thank you very much, everybody. Take care.